Hello kids. So today we are going to study EVS class 5th chapter 1 and session 1. Before going to our chapter, let's discuss about what we are going to study in our today's topic. As I talk about the topic, our topic is shifting homes. Now, what do you mean by shifting? Let's go for an example. Now which example? Let's take your class only. As you daily come to your class, and one day what happens when you are in your seat and your batchmate, rather your friend, comes and wants to sit nearby you. Then he asks you, shift little bit, I don't have a proper space to sit. So for helping, you just shift little bit. After that, he also gets a place to sit. Then you both have a comfortable zone to sit and enjoy. So this means shift, and this is the chapter we are going to study in our today's session. So the name of the chapter is Shifting Homes. Shift we have studied. Now the time has come for homes. Homes, you know it very well. Why? Because we all live in a home. Whether human being or a bird or an animal, everybody need home to live. So in some conditions, even we have to shift our home. Now, such conditions we are going to discuss in this chapter. Let's go. Our first topic for this session is migration. Now, what do you mean by migration? What do we do in migration? So in migration, we have to go from one place to another. Now, why do we go? What is the need of going? There are many reasons. Very first reason which we are going to discuss today is transferable jobs in search of food, etc. Now, before knowing the reason, let's find out the meaning of migration. So, the meaning of migration is people who keep on moving from one place to another place is called migration. Now, why do people move? What is the need of moving? So, the reason behind that is in search of proper shelter, in search of better work, in search of fooding. We have to move from one place to another. Okay? This was the definition of migration. Let's find out its different meanings, their different reasons. So very first reason is transferable job. Transferable means transfer. Transfer means suppose you are working somewhere. Okay, you are working in a particular factory or an industry or a firm. Now, the area in which your factory is, it becomes difficult for the factory to collect the raw materials. Why? Because the horizon, the area is very small. It is not possible to available everything on a particular place. You have to move out, and if you are collecting raw material from different places, it becomes very expensive. So what the factory man, what the factory owner decides, he decides to take the factory to the particular area where you can have a raw material in nearby or in a shorter distant, so your expense can be saved. So as the factory changes its destination, as the factory changes its place, it means as you are a working person over there, so you have to also transfer. In such condition where the firm has been transferred to a different city, even you as an employee has to transfer. In such condition, it is known as transferable job. For job purposes, people has to transfer. Our next example is for medical facility. Now what happens in a small area, in a small region, it sometimes becomes very difficult to have a good hospitality. So in such condition, what do you have to do? You have to go towards a big cities for better treatment. Let's suppose someone in your family gets ill, and after diagnosing by the doctor, you come to know that he is suffering from a major disease, and it becomes very difficult to be cured at your own place. So what do you have to decide? You have to definitely have to decide to move to bigger place, to move to the city place where good quality hospitality is available, where good medical facility is there, where you can have a good team of doctor which can work for your family member. So in such condition also, you have to move to that very place. It is also an example of migration. Now moving on to our next reason. Our next reason is for better neighborhood. Now what happens? Suppose we are living in a particular area. Due to some reasons, the surrounding becomes unfit. Unfit in what way? People come across India, rather across the world, and suppose they are, your total environment had been changed. People who were living with you have gone to other place and new people have come. So it is not compulsory that you would be enjoying the same as you were enjoying yourself with them. So in that condition, even you decide to change your place. Why? Because you are not enjoying your neighborhood and you want to be in a better neighborhood. So for that reason, even you need to migrate from the place you were before. Now we will be moving towards our fourth example, that is less expensive home. Now what do you mean by less expensive home? What happens? Look, day by day our population is increasing. So as the population is increasing, the land area in which we live, its rate become higher and higher. Can be possible what that we cannot live over there because we are not able to just go for it or to have all the expense. So in that condition, we have to leave that place in which we are living and we have to move towards the place which is less expensive. So this is quite clear to you, I think. Why do we have to move to less expensive area? Because it is not affordable. The area in which you are living, it becomes unaffordable, then you have to go to next area for your better survival. Like this, it gets over and many more to go. There are many other examples too. Now, we are talking about immigrants. Now, what do you mean by immigrants? Immigrants immigrant means people who leave their own country. People who leave their own country to settle in another country. Now, why do people have to leave their own country? People have to leave their own country for better opportunity. You would have heard about USA. USA means United States of America. United States of America is also known as a land of immigrants. Many people around the world used to go and live over there in USA for their better life. Okay? Now, we are talking about our next topic. And what is our next topic? Our next topic is immigrant. Now, what is immigrant? People who come into a country which are not their own native place. For example, suppose I born over here in India. I studied in India. I brought up in India. Now, after a passage of time, I decided to go to abroad for better opportunity. So I went to abroad, I worked over here, and after a passage of time, suppose 1 year, 2 year, or a 3 year, I got a citizenship over there. Then what will I am going to do? I am going to settle over there in USA. And as the passage of time passes, then what will I am going to do? I am going to call my rest relative over there only. Why? Because I feel that their life is much better. It is simply my point of view. In that condition, when I leave my native land and wishes to settle down in other country, in such condition, I'll be known as immigrant. As I told you about USA. Okay? Now, our next topic. And what is our next topic? Our next topic is displacement. Now, this spelling is little bit big beta. Sometimes we doesn't know how to pronounce it. Okay, so in such condition, what do you have to do? You have to just simply divide the spelling. As you can see on the board, I have divided the spelling into 3 parts. Displacement. By this dividing, it becomes easy to pronounce it. So, the spelling, and what did it say? Displacement. It means that sometimes people are forced to leave their country due to natural disaster. Now, what is the difference between the two? Displacement and migration. In this also, we have to move from one place to another. And even in this also, you have to move from one place to another. But there is a difference. In migration, it's your wish whether you want to live here or somewhere else. But if we talk about displacement, in this condition, you are forced by the government, by the other representative of the particular area to leave your own homes. Now, why do you have to do so? This had happens, and representative ask us or government ask us why. They ask us because due to natural disasters, due to natural calamities, disasters like earthquake, disasters like Earthquake. Now what happens in earthquake and why government is interested and forcing us to leave our place? What happened? Suppose earthquake occurs and you are inside your home only, then what will going to happen? The ceiling on the top of your head will going to fall onto you and it can cause major injury. So you are supposed to go out and live in another region where this type of disaster is not occurring. You have to live for your own life and for your family members. There are many more even such disaster. For example, in cyclone, thereafter, what others? Cyclone, high tides, drought, yes, drought, and even extreme, yes, extreme poverty. What? Extreme. This I have discussed just with you. Now, in cyclone, in high tides, what comes? In cyclone, the level of air increases very high. Same high tides, the waves in ocean or seas increases, and they used both the things in both the calamities. They used to take all the things which comes across. Suppose houses are there, vehicles are there, everything vanishes when it runs, and it is very serious. We cannot take it lightly, but government take a decision. By the forecast, government comes to know that this area, a particular area can be affected badly, so they have to play their role, and their role is forcing the people to leave the particular areas. Now, drought. What happens in drought? Sometimes due to lack of rain. Due to lack of rain. And why there is lack of rain? It's humans only, beta. Day by day, we are increasing pollution. As the pollution increases, what happens? We destroy water. We destroy air. As air will not be there, then what will going to happen? Air is not there, rain is not there. If rain is not there, so the ultimately condition of land changes to drought. Do you know the meaning of drought? Drought means सूखा पड़ जाना, dry, everywhere dry. And if the land is not alluvial, a land becomes dry, we cannot grow crops. As we cannot grow crops, our survival become difficult. We have to move out for better food and shelter. Last but not the least, next example is extreme poverty. Nowadays, if you are going to look around, you move around, you will going to find this poverty level all over India. Nowadays, what is happening? Population is increasing day by day. So, number of educated people are increasing, but they are jobless. Why? Because people are many, but the firms are less. Factories are coming down and number of people are increasing. So we cannot cope up with some situations like this. So what do the government do, or what do the particular area representative do? They ask the people of a particular family, you kindly move out to a particular region where you can have a proper facility of fooding or shelter. So for better future, you have to go out. If you doesn't wish, so they have to force you for your betterment only. This too we have discussed about human. Okay, all these topics we have covered. Now we are moving on to our very first topic, in which we have discussed about migration. Do you know, not only the human beings, even the birds, they have to migrate from one place to other place in search of food, in search of shelter. You would have seen many birds. They just move from kilometers to kilometers, thousands of kilometers they cover for food and shelter. You would have seen in our pond area side, new birds comes over there. Birds like pelican, crane, they used to fly thousands of kilometers in search of food and shelter. So this is done all over India, rather all over country. Okay, I'll give you one more example of displacement. Now, the other example of displacement is, let's discuss. And what is that? Displacement took place in 1947. I know you must be remembering this thing, that in 1947, what had happened? Our country, India, got freedom from Britishers. From Britishers. And after getting the freedom from Britishers, India, a united country, but it has to be divided into two big countries. And who were they? India itself, one country, India itself, and its other part had been known as Pakistan. One was India and the other one Pakistan. Now what had happened in that situation? Same thing. Migration. What? Migration. Now many people who were Indians, their belongings were in India. Their homes, their family, their business, everything was in India only. But when this partition took place, many Indians have to migrate to Pakistan. In the same way, Pakistan people also, many of that side people also, they have to migrate India. For what? Same. For shelter, for business, and they cannot be a part of Pakistan due to partition. And it is not at all easy. It was very difficult to be at some place which is totally unknown to you. It takes time, but by the passage of time, it becomes easy and you will become with full of enjoyment. You start enjoying the citizenship of where you are. Okay, I hope this point is clear to you. Now, let's recall the chapter once again. What we have studied in today's session? We have studied about what migration is, what are its reason, what is immigrant, what is displacement, why it is important, why do we have to do. Now kids, what do you have to do? You have to just write down all these points in your notebooks. And yes, don't forget to read. Now while reading, you have to be very careful. As you read the points one by one, if you come across some meanings, the meaning which you are not able to understand, just prefer the dictionary. That will be easy for you to understand. And always have a habit of writing hard words. Now, whenever you start a chapter, always to remember to write what? Points to remember, in which you can write what did you study in your session. Points to remember. Points to remember. Okay? You should write all points to remember. It means they are defines. They are defines. If you are unable to write it from the board, it will be convenient for you to write them up from your text book. I hope all the points are clear to you. Now next we have to discuss about my family. A small intro I am going to give you about my family. You all must be having your family. You even know who all are the member of family. This is the most important part of a life. It's like a root. Family is like a root to you, and there are many members in the family. Members like grandparents, then parents, then brother, sister, etc. So all these things we are having in our family, and it moves generation to generation. Our very first generation is grandparents. Thereafter what comes? Thereafter parents come. Thereafter your brother, sister, cousin, etc. Look, without them, parents are incomplete. Even without parents, children are incomplete. We give support to each other. So if somebody asks you what is the most important thing in your life, so it is what? Family only. As we have discussed in our that point, migration, that what in immigration, what had happened is I have been shifted. Then what did I done? I call my rest of the family members over there only and decided to settle over there. I would have lived over there alone even now, but no, I can't. I love my family very much. Even you should also always give preference to your family members, because without them our life become very difficult, and we can only enjoy our life with our parents. And this all moves generation to generation. For example, this one is first generation. This one is first generation. And like this cycle moves. We will going to study deep about all these things in our next session. So for today's session, write everything. nicely write down and it should be clear to you. And yes, attempt the question answers or fill in the blank part also. Okay, fine.